Actually, you know what? I wanted to open up with this story. It's gonna lead to the conversation of cybersecurity. Very almost conveniently, even though I wish it did not happen to begin with, because otherwise I would not have been late today. Earlier this morning, some bastard was calling me nonstop at 3 a.m. in the morning. And and then Dino in the back here. So I got this application recommendation from him. It's called Truecaller, right?
Truecaller.
Yeah, so it's called Truecaller. So I saw this number, like it would just persistently kept calling me at 3 in the morning. And so I was like, okay, fuck this. Number one, I'm going to block this guy, but I want to see who this person is, right? And so I put it into this app called Truecaller. I put it up on screen. And then the name came out. I think it's, namanya apa tadi? Lek Jito, and I'm like, who the fuck is this fool? And then I just I blocked him, stopped calling me. But
Indonesian number.
is an Indonesian plus
Alright.
62, yeah.
Okay.
But that was the reason why I woke up so late today. I was like freaking out getting out of bed because it messed up my sleep schedule. I slept completely past my alarms, and so yeah, that happened to me today. But I was on the way here today, and I realized that's kind of perfect timing because we're talking about cyber security, digital security, and all that type of stuff. And it's like, I mean, how do these people even... I guess that's like my immediate question. Like, who the fuck are these people and how did they get my number?
So basically, most people will get these numbers from anywhere, as long as you share your information, whether when you are shopping, mostly shopping,
There you go.
mostly shopping, by the way. Data is something that you can sell out there. So it's not just selling T-shirt, groceries. You can sell data. As long as there's someone who collect, there's always someone who sell. The only question is, what are we going to do about it? I don't know if you remember, but if someone wants to open a phone account in Indonesia, even though it's a prepaid, you should or you must register with your national identity number, yes? Let's say I want to buy a new number, whether
Yeah.
it's from Telkomsel, Indosat.
Yeah.
You always have to register it
With my KTP.
with your KTP
Yeah.
and sometimes also kartu keluarga, yeah? But then, who can guarantee that the verification is correct? Because the theory is that if you know the number, and if there is a good system, you can always report that number and the government know exactly who that person is. But the fact is, you would never know because you just enter a number. Sure, there will be a verifications, but again, that verification, is it good enough or not? Because if the idea is that if you need to register with something which is legit in a country, then there should be an alarm. There should be a system where if you or anyone else got scammed or whatever, they just report the number. So it means something's not working, right? So you register all of this, you try to follow all the regulations, but then what's next? You have all these regulations, then for what's next? So that's always the reason why we always said in cybersecurity, it's everywhere, everybody's roles in it. But that's also including the government, the company, and also the individuals. You cannot just say, hey, my dear citizens, you take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Good
you
luck.
on your own.
We have these regulations,
Yeah.
and you have to comply, and good luck.
I was wondering, like, what are the top 10 countries that where scamming occurs? And I guess it always coincides with the top countries where scamming occurs, where people get scammed, is also simultaneously the country that produces the most scammers.
Yes.
And so on my list here, and I'll put the sources up on the screen, I'll put it down below. I'm not going to go all the way to 10. I'm just going to go all the way up to 6 because top 6 in the world is Indonesia, apparently,
Oh,
based on this list, at least.
okay.
So top 6, Indonesia. Number 5 is Pakistan. Number 4 is Brazil. Number 3 is China. Number 2 is India. Do you want to guess number 1?
States.
Really? No.
No?
On this list, Nigeria.
Oh,
And that one
that's normal.
yeah. You're like, that's normal. And it's like, I guess, a testament to how bad it is in Nigeria that's the racial stereotype associated with Nigerians now. It's like, oh, they're scammers.
Yeah, true. But then, have you seen the pattern?
Yeah, so, with India, China, Brazil, Pakistan, Indonesia, ginormous countries where there's a lot of wealth inequality, lots of poverty. Nigeria, also lots of poverty. Poor. The common denominator is they're poor.
There you go. So that's the reason why I always keep telling everybody, let's not talk about cybersecurity or even privacy these days to a country where most people are still thinking about
how to put food on the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's completely different. So that's the reason why if you put all that responsibilities back to the citizens where their focus is food,
yeah,
it's not,
not
never going to work. Then who else and who should do that? That's where the government or people like us who actually understand this thing, we have to do something.
I'm talking about government and trends. So like from 1 to 6, another common denominator besides the fact that we're poor countries, we're also countries where governments are inefficient. Nigeria, India, China, Brazil, Pakistan, Indonesia. Well, maybe some people might argue about China. I'm not sure what the case is with China. But Nigeria, India, Brazil, Pakistan, and Indonesia, we have incompetent government workers.
You expect that everybody is connected digitally. That's why most of these countries, especially in Indonesia, we always talk about digitalization. Everything have to be digitalized.
Yeah.
Everything has to be digitalized.
Right.
But it also means that you are forcing the majority of people to live in a completely different world, which is the digital world, where even the real world is not yet ready. So you don't have that maturity into, splitting between, okay, this is a good thing to do, that is not, and then you already jump to digital world.
Right.
Basically, what happened in the digital world is the same in the physical world. The only thing that differentiates the two is it's intangible. So let me take you an example, and I always use this example as well. If someone wants to visit you in your apartment, what are the steps that they need to take? Start with maybe security officer.
Okay.
Maybe you need to then write your name, who is you're asking, and then sometimes they don't allow you to go up before the owner of the apartment or the residents of the apartment come to pick you up, right? And even if you are in a more luxurious apartment, there's a gate even at the beginning. And when you try to enter your apartment, you have a key. Inside your apartment, you have locks, or maybe you haven't even alarm. So all of those are what we call security layers. You have layers.
Yeah.
But then, when almost all your belongings now digital, you cannot see, somehow, when we tell people use a strong password, then it's like, it's ridiculous. It's just complicated. And I'm just talking about one layer, which is just the password. I'm talking
just the password.
Just the password, and it's only one layer. But when it comes to our home, like physical home, where maybe all our assets now are all digitals, you put somewhere in the bank, like all your coins.
Yeah.
You are happy to put tons and tons of layers because you think, oh, I need to protect this from that. I need to protect. But then when it comes to digital, no. One layer, not even one layer. Sometimes can I just have a short one?
Sometimes the password is admin123.
Oh, sounds familiar.
Very familiar. Where do we get that from?
That's a default password, by the way.
No, and I was talking about this with Dino. I know way too many people.
Okay.
I know way too many people in Indonesia that frequently default to admin123 or admin123 hashtag
or
as
with
as a password.
Exclamation mark.
Yeah, or exclamation mark. They just throw in some special character and then that's it. They call it a day.
Yeah.
Where I want to go with this is I see a lot of differences in the way that Indonesians go about, I guess the word here is cyber hygiene, right? How we go about our because password is part of cyber hygiene. Correct me if I'm wrong. How we go about our cyber hygiene, I see a lot of differences when I compare it to a lot of people in South Korea, for example, which apparently South Korea is one of the most bener nggak sih? South Korea is one of the most digitally,
Correct.
They have the best cyber hygiene.
Correct.
And I don't, maybe if you guys look it up on Google, they're gonna say different things, but that's what I got. Germany. So when you compare to all these people in all these countries, South Korea, Germany, Netherlands, probably, right? Very good cyber hygiene. Whereas with Indonesia, like a lot of people are still using admin 123 for as passwords. And I guess it's like, what's the difference? Like, what are Germans, South Koreans, Dutch people doing in terms of cyber hygiene that we're not doing?
And that's exactly what we just discussed. That people are aware their assets are now digital. So when you start thinking or start looking at your assets, to start seeing your digital life as your assets, whether it's your brand,
Right.
because, like you, very famous, your social account is your asset,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So if you don't protect it, then you lose your asset. So the difference is they already realize that this is now my asset. So I need to protect my asset. The problem here for us is most people use this digital channel, so to say, as medium, not as an asset.
Well, and also in countries like what I just mentioned, Germany, South Korea, would you say that all of this is contingent upon digital literacy, or is that a different? Is that different?
It is definitely part of that one as well.
Because when it comes to Indonesia, our digital literacy, like, I mean, y'all can just look it up. Did I write it down here? No, I did not. But y'all can just Google it, like where Indonesia lands globally on digital literacy, and we are not. It's not great. But I wanted to explore, like, on the topic of digital literacy, because that's also something that I'm very passionate about.
Okay.
Social media literacy, and a lot of that also falls upon digital literacy. But what is digital literacy, like, as like a general umbrella?
The problem of what most people think about digital literacy means how people can use application A, application B. That is the second step, not the first one.
What's the first one?
The first one is, what is the internet? What can happen there?
Understanding
What
the consequences.
you should do, and what are the consequences, the pros and cons, before you use application A, application B, application C. Because then, after you understand what is internet, what it can do, what it cannot do, then when you implement that to the second step, okay, let's say I'm using Google Mail, right, Gmail. Okay, so I understand that many things bad can happen, so let's make a good password.
Yeah.
Let's turn on the multi-factor authentication.
We're still at that level here in Indonesia and a lot of other societies on par with Indonesia, where we still gotta be educating people, like, how to make a good password. Actually, no, you know what? You talk to us about that. In case anybody here listening and y'all are still using admin 123, or maybe some, I don't know, your password is strawberry pancakes 68. If on the topic of cyber hygiene practices, password is definitely one of them. How do you make, I don't know, like, teach these people, like, how do you make a strong password?
So basically, a strong password, you have to make a complex one, a very long one, but then it's always unique.
I'm going to tell y'all how I go about doing it. I used to be one of those people. I had a password that I wasn't admin 123.
All right,
I wasn't
all right.
that bad. But it would be something like, I don't know, like strawberry pancakes 59. It would sound like a Reddit username. I completely changed my ways, and I learned my lesson because a bunch of my accounts, somebody was trying to hack me. Across multiple social media platforms, my email. And this was after I got quote unquote famous. Yeah,
right.
yeah. And like it kind of just all started happening simultaneously, and it like freaked me the fuck out. And so I called like a bunch of my computer science friends, and I'm just like, what do I do? And they're like, okay, girl, you got to change all your passwords. The way that I do it, I'm an Apple user, so Apple does this automatically. But if y'all are not an Apple user, you can just type in on Google random password generator.
Yep.
Random password generator, copy whatever it spits out. It's gonna be some cryptic, not even cryptic, like what's the word? Like random letters and numbers just thrown in together with like special characters. Copy that. Apple has a built-in password manager, like
the keychain.
Yeah, like a keychain. I don't know if Windows has that, but if
Windows
y'all
do have.
don't have that, then I don't know. Manage your own password some way, but maybe don't write it down. Don't.
It's the one I told you, Halogen.
Oh, Halogen. Okay, there's a, what is it called? An app.
It's
It's
password manager.
Yeah, it's a password manager. It's called Halogen. This is not sponsored. I wish it was. But for Windows users, y'all can use that, or even Apple users. And that's the way that I go about doing now. And all my devices just remember my password for me. And then with Apple, it reads my face.
So basically, the idea is always use something unique for every single account.
Oh, and don't have the same password for everything,
Yeah.
please.
The moment that you use exactly the same password for everything,
You're cooked.
you're cooked.
Yeah.
However, there's the however part. Even though,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, maybe the random generator is not so random,
Yeah.
and then you have exactly the same password.
Mm.
If you turn on the multi-factor authentication, the token, that's the part, the layers.
Yep.
So password is your first layer.
Yep.
The second layer is multi-factor authentications.
Mm.
The same with your Apple screening your face.
Yep.
If we do that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we will fix everything, no, but
Right.
if we just do that, that helps a lot.
Well, that would have prevented what happened with, what is it called? When Budi Ari got dogpiled on the internet because badan apa?
Cyber and Sandi Negara. No?
What? Yeah. What was the acronym?
BSSN.
BSSN.
Okay.
You remember when that happened, right?
Yeah.
Because the password was admin123. Girl. What about VPN?
Why do you need it?
Why do I need a VPN?
Yeah.
Oh, well, in Indonesia specifically, it's because Reddit is blocked.
No, I think I know where you're coming from. So in the past,
Mm-hmm.
5 to 10 years ago, most of us security experts always said that use VPN to secure your connection, to private your connection.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the era where most of the website doesn't use a secure connection
Okay.
by default.
Okay.
Nowadays, most browser,
Mm-hmm.
if you use Chrome, Edge,
Safari.
Firefox, Safari, they force the server to use the secure connection.
What is secure connection?
Have you seen if you go to somewhere else and then you see the HTTPS?
Yeah.
If you see the S behind, means
Secure.
there is the pipeline is secured.
Okay.
So if you try to tap it,
Right.
you don't see the text. You just see the mambo jumbo.
Well, what does secure
Slowly.
mean for me? Like, so like people can't track me or
People
something?
people cannot see what you are doing, basically,
Okay.
right?
The government can't. The government can't see what
They
I'm
can
doing.
always see because they always tap into the server. That's a
Mhm.
different story. But at least for most of your transaction,
Right.
it's covered there.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays, for common people, most people, if you only use, let's say, social media or watching movies,
Mm-hmm.
reading news,
Mm.
and all of that is enough for you,
Mm.
you don't really need VPN. If you use, let's say, Wi-Fi
Right.
and the cafeteria,
Right.
most of the time you're okay. The only thing that I always say is try not to do your banking
Mm.
on your cafe.
Like
If-
on the cafe Wi-Fi,
On the
hospital
cafe
Wi-Fi,
yes,
airport Wi-Fi.
especially airports.
Yep, I've learned about that.
Yeah. But if you have to do it, then just use your phone as your modem.
So use data.
So basically, use data.
Well, thankfully, I've never had anything. I guess not that I'm aware of. I've had nothing horrible happen to me from accessing sensitive information such as banking, like on airport Wi-Fi or on public Wi-Fi. But I have one of my best friends. He's a physicist, but he's also deep into computer science. So he's like a
Okay.
super, super smart guy. And so he always tells me, like, Indah, especially because like you are a public figure, like do not be logging into public Wi-Fi's. If you can help it, just use your data. Especially do not use airport Wi-Fi. Do not charge on airport. So you know how certain seats at the airport, so there's like a USB,
Yeah,
like you can connect your phone to charge your phone, but that can also be another way for people to steal your data.
True, but also not true. So on the one side is that if you don't have the right protection on your laptop, that is true, right? People,
Well, yeah, but how many of us do?
that's the thing. Then the question is, do you always have your antivirus, for example, turn on and always active?
I didn't even think about antivirus. So this is gonna sound like a really stupid question, but how do I put antivirus on my laptop?
Just download and then install
Download what?
whatever you choose. You have,
Recommend.
for example, Bitdefender, Avast. The only thing that I would recommend is, if you can afford it, go with the premium one.
Go the premium one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and my company mission is very simple. I want to make sure that cybersecurity and privacy is affordable for many people. I don't care whether it's individuals, small businesses. That's what I do care most, right? So most of the time when people ask me, Ferry, what's the best antivirus? Okay, then my question would be, what laptop do you use?
I use a MacBook.
Okay, you use MacBook. Or if people use Windows, for example, then I would say, okay, did you buy the operating system, the original one? If yes, it has an embedded antivirus, anti-malware called Windows Defender. It comes for free. Just make sure it's always on.
Okay.
And always up to date and always scanning. And that's it. You don't need to find another one. Security in the digital world is all about your browsing habit. That's it for most people. For example, you have antivirus. Turn on. You use Wi-Fi, let's say, only at your place. Or you use your mobile data. But you browse porn sites. Where
You also need VPN for porn. But yeah, go on.
okay, all right. Sorry, I forgot. I'm in Indonesia. So let's say you use VPN
Yeah.
to access
Porn.
porn sites. But did you know that people can inject or put in malicious code behind the banner?
So I think
So you can go to that porn sites.
there's a banner.
You access, and there's always banners.
There's
Yes, right.
Yep.
And you don't have, let's say, the ad blocker.
Yeah.
Then you are downloading
Malicious.
with a consent
Uh-huh.
that, hey, just come into my laptop. And then when your laptop got, malware hijacked here, hijacked there, then you start blaming the antivirus. No, it's your habit.
I see.
So antivirus is antivirus. Whatever brand that you choose,
Right.
if you have that kind of habit,
Right.
forget it.
Okay. So for all of us porn watchers here, should we be installing ad blocker? Wait.
Start with that.
Start with that. You install an ad blocker. Oh my gosh, like this is so out of my depth. Like I know nothing about like cybersecurity. I install it on my browser.
Yeah.
It's on the browser, not on the computer, right? Or is it on the no?
Oh,
it's on the browser.
there are two types.
Okay.
So there's also something that you can install and then everything on your.
All right, we will move on, but you and I have a lot to talk about
Sure.
in terms of me installing stuff on my
Sure.
on my computer.
Sure.
But we're on the topic of cyber hygiene practices, right? And I keep thinking about what are the everyday things that seem so mundane that we keep doing that is actually compromising our cybersecurity. And the one thing that I can definitely think of, because this is something that happened to me recently, is for some reason in many places across Indonesia, even for something as simple as you want to go up to access like a building, let's say, and you gotta keep your KTP with the people downstairs. And I do kind of think like, is it safe? But at the same time, like, there's no alternative because I need to get up to this building and they like really need my KTP or they need somebody's KTP. I mean, the way that I kind of go past it is I think sometimes what I do, and luckily my driver consents to this. I have a driver. They just need a KTP, anybody's KTP, right? As like a jaminan.
Okay.
And so I use my driver's KTP, but then that means I'm compromising his like data. So that's not even any better. But the question is like, why is that even a practice that we do? Because all my years of living in the United States, nobody would ever ask to confiscate your ID.
Because someone forbid you to do that.
Someone.
The government.
Yeah. There you go.
Regulations.
Yeah.
So then the question would be, let's say right now, I think this month, that Indonesia have a new law starting, right? The
Which
privacy
one?
law.
Huh?
The privacy law.
We have a
Undang-undang PDP.
we have a udah undang-undang atau masih RUU?
It's undang-undang.
Udah undang. Okay. Is it new or is it?
No, it's already passed, I think, for the past 2 years. So now it's effective, right? So it's like the first date to start.
How's that going?
You tell me.
You tell me.
I just came from Netherlands.
No, you tell me because this is out of my depth. Like, how's that going?
Because then the question would be, what is the enforcement?
I see what you're getting at, because it's like if that were being actually properly enforced and implemented, like then there wouldn't be any like they, for example, if I go to a building and they ask for jaminan, they wouldn't ask me for my KTP because they would understand that that is a big compromise of my privacy.
There you go.
Ah,
So I remember when I first moved to Singapore, for example,
yeah,
I used to live there for 2 years.
expensive ass city.
So when I was there, it was like the first year where the privacy law in that country starts,
When was this?
2012.
Okay.
Right, so it's called PDPA, Personal Data Protection Act.
Mhm.
What happened the most is suddenly you see people start enjoying their life, quote unquote, because they receive less, almost none calls
Okay.
related to property investment. So back then, like every day, a telemarketer, especially from the real estate agency, will always call people like, "Hey, we have this new development. You want to buy this apartment or this new townhouse and that kind of stuff." Like every single day.
Mm.
When that was out,
All of that
suddenly
stuff.
stop. Plus, if and that happened exactly in that first week,
Mhm.
someone still do that,
If anybody tries it.
and then the person actually report it to a system, then it track down the government. This is your penalty. I told you
Mm.
2 years
Mm.
ago that when this starts, you will get a fine.
Mm.
The same with GDPR. What people focus mostly about, okay, how can we be like Europe with the GDPR?
Sorry, what is G?
General Data Protection Rights. So it's like a privacy law, but
Okay.
for Europe.
Okay.
But most people focus on how can we get that into a policy in our own country, and mostly just copy paste or just adopt it. But what people don't have, or what people mostly forget, is what makes GDPR strong
Mm.
is because the enforcement. The penalty, the penalized when they say 4% of your global revenue,
Mm.
it's real.
I have a devil's advocate on Indonesia's side.
Okay.
Because whenever people want to compare Indonesia to Singapore,
Sure.
immediately my first rebuttal would be that Singapore is such a small country
Mm-hmm.
that because they have the advantage of a small size, it's so much easier to manage. It's so much easier to oversee that laws and legislations and protocols are being followed, and that people are basically abiding by the law. Indonesia is such a ginormous country, spread across a gigantic archipelago, and so we have that as a disadvantage. And so I guess the question would be, I'm not saying that that would be an excuse for like, okay, well that's just the way that it is. Let's just be complacent. But I guess it's like, I guess you could be called. You are somebody that is an expert in cybersecurity and like I guess in general digital space. Cybersecurity is definitely something that Indonesia struggles with, and I think part of that struggle is because we're so big. And I think in general, when it comes to our laws, implementation has always been our weakest point because we are so big. And it's like I'm asking, how do you see, like, what's the work around that? How do we
So
curb that?
big is one thing,
Yeah.
but to start is another thing. So the question is
Say
like,
that again.
to start
To start.
is actually something that you have to do. So if you always run behind
The excuse.
the excuse that we are so big, then you will never get there. So take for example, let's say, what's the biggest hotel chain in
In the world?
Indonesia? No,
Oh.
in Indonesia.
Hotel chain. Is it?
Marriott, maybe?
I was thinking Hyatt.
Hyatt. Okay,
I don't know.
let's take Hyatt. Yeah.
Sure.
If we can force hotel chain like Hyatt that when they copy some, because they still need to keep that information to verify a guest, right?
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's your identity card or whether it's your passport, especially foreigners' passport, you still collect that and then you need to verify it. What happened right now is they just copy, as in like copier machine. What if there's a solution where you still scan the KTP, and behind the scene, that actually there is a connection with a database that says, yes, this is a legit number, and that's it. So you don't store the data in the first place. So when you get hacked, there is no KTP inside. There is no passport inside. Because the problem is always because you stored it in the first place.
Do these, I guess the word would be companies. So do these companies, do these entities, do they mean to store it, or is that just kind of what happens?
No, because everybody's like, I think I need...
You think you need to store it?
Yeah.
Why do they think that?
Have you go to a restaurant where they have a machine, like the POS machine, when you want to pay, and then the lady behind the cashier also type in your number?
What number? Credit card number?
Your card number.
Yeah.
So the question is like, why? You have your transaction. You have your connection with Visa, MasterCard, whatever.
Right.
And you can always match it, right?
Yeah.
But somehow, the procedure always says, make sure that you also write down the number, because at the end of the day, someone, let's say the supervisor, will always match that, okay, this transaction is with this payment. That transaction is with the with payment.
See, okay. It's like, even though I guess that's like the wrong train of thought, I understand the intention that they're doing, but the impact, girl, that's why a lot of credit card scams happen.
That's why I said in the beginning, a very beginning of this chat, right? When there's someone who collects data, there's always a business to sell
To sell
data.
the data too. Or sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't even rule it. I wouldn't rule out the possibility of sometimes like some of these employees that work at these companies are the ones that are like perhaps like doing the credit card, like the whole credit card scamming thing.
Correct.
I've had a credit card scam happen to me one time, and it was very, very, very traumatic. And actually, I guess, the one thing that I guess now talking about this that I realize that I've always taken for granted is that I have a mother that is very, I guess, okay, she can be a little bit over paranoid, but I think I would rather my mother be over paranoid if it means that it keeps me and it keeps us and our information safe, right? Because she would notice, because she doesn't trust anybody, she's very skeptical of everybody, so she always questions everything. That's the one thing about her. And so it's the little things, like, for example, like the whole we gotta get up to a building to do a meeting, and then they ask for a KTP. It's like, kenapa? Like, buat apa? Like, or even the little things like she's making a payment.
Right.
And sometimes they will run away with her credit card. And so she gets frantic and she's like, where are you going with my credit card? Kamu mau kemana? Ko bawa credit card niya ako.
There you go.
And simple things like that, and the little things like how, so when we're in the United States, and I guess like perhaps unless my memory could be failing me, but to my memory, in the United States, when we want to make a payment, we go to the paying
Correct.
machine.
Or the machine comes to you.
Or the machine comes to you, right? Whereas I think in Indonesia, I mean, now the machine sometimes they come to us. I think most of the time now it comes to us. But I remember a time when I first moved back like a few years ago, and they would take the card away, but my mom would always be like, no, you bring the machine here. I want to see you do it in front of me.
Yeah, sure.
And the simple things like, maybe this is a testament to how overly paranoid my mother is, but what is it called? The EDC machine? Right? It's called the EDC machine. My mother will take, sometimes it's just enough for you to do this. My mother will take like a menu and do that because she's really paranoid, because she's always talking about how these security cameras, they can see our PIN. And I used to think that my mom's just crazy. Like she's like an overly paranoid, like old Chinese lady. But then I talked to Dino, and then apparently that's true. Like my mom's not crazy. Like they can actually like zoom in.
But that's the whole point, right? So you are, quote unquote, left behind.
Who, me?
No, I mean like in general.
Okay.
Like the whole process, what happened right now, which makes me sad, is people are left behind to protect what they have by themselves.
Whereas the government should be the one that is stepping in.
Government is one thing,
Okay.
but also the businesses. Like the, same discussion that we just had about the managing or aligning the transactions and the card payment.
Yeah.
With all the advancement, all the digital POS, EDC machine, why you still need to write down? Why there is a process in your documented procedures
Right.
that you tell to all your employees
yeah.
that if someone pay with a card, don't forget
To write it down.
to write it down or to your copy. The system is already there. You can just tell it automatically. You still need to do that. Or the same, if you go to a hotel, for example, yes, you need to verify. Okay, Miss Indah, can you show me your identity card? And then I'll just see
Just-
that, yes,
yeah,
this is Indah with the name, exactly the name. Why do you need to copy it? Then some people say, yeah, but sometimes the regulator A, B, C, they always need to have an. That's always. Then you have to ask the question: why do you need to keep this information when I just want to stay in this hotel? I mean, like if we want to go to again, I'm not trying to compare Indonesia with Europe.
No, go ahead.
With all the advancement of digital services, why can't we? Let's say if we want to go all the way digital, yes.
Yeah.
Why can't we make a reservation system and put it in the hotel where, sure, you can copy, and then let's say when you scan,
Right.
like I said, it automatically checks with the database behind the scene. Yes,
Yeah.
this is Indah, and that's it. You just store the information correct. This is Indah with this, but then the people doesn't see your number, doesn't have a copy of, but the machine itself
Can
give you confirmation that yes,
Right.
this is Indah.
Right.
Then let's say
Yeah.
for whatever reason you do something stupid in the hotel,
That's not
and
unlikely.
yeah,
Go on.
and then someone come, hey, who stays in this room? Indah. This is the information, but I'm sorry, you are not allowed to see this because it's private. Oh, but I'm the, let's say, someone from police. I have the rights. This is my order. Then that is the system that we all can
Yeah.
see along. It's not like, oh, the one who stay in this room, I give you all the copies.
Oh, yeah.
The
There's
ID
gotta be
card or
there's gotta be I guess the word's process that is just, we have privacy laws that are just not being implemented. So that's our biggest issue.
It's starting. It's starting. Yeah,
Okay.
because officially it started this month.
Well, we just also inaugurated a new president. So
Let's start with that. We are here to help.
let's be optimistic. Maybe. I
Of
don't
course,
know.
come on. You should be proud. As diaspora, I'm also proud. So,
I'm trying.
so that's also part of the whole discussion, right? Now you have a legitimate reason to enforce it. Then the
Right,
question
right.
is how you are going to enforce it.
But the one thing I'll tell you this, Ferry, like the one thing I know about Indonesia, when it comes to the dissemination of information, like when you're trying to spread information, you're trying to spread education, basically, right? Is the spreading of information. It's so hard to do in Indonesia. So what I'm trying to say is that by the time, we have privacy laws that I think hopefully with this new administration that they're actually going to take seriously, they're going to start implementing. I would not be surprised if it takes the next 10 years.
Which is fine. And that's the reason why I said
Better
there's-
start than not.
better start than nothing. And please make sure that you always remember whatever solutions that you develop, that you build,
Right.
always remember you cannot and you shouldn't rely on your user to take the actions themselves. So for example,
Right.
as simple of the multi-factor authentications, yeah?
Yeah.
As long as the system doesn't force you, people will not use it.
It doesn't force. Sorry.
To use the multi-factor authentication, to not to use the token.
Oh, okay. So as in, like, people got to be forced to. People got to be prompted to
You
do it.
have to be prompted to do it.
Yeah.
You have to make
true.
it mandatory, because if not,
Yeah.
people will not do it.
Yeah. Malice.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're
And that's
lazy.
the reason why, like the big companies like Google, they force people now to activate their MFA
Yeah.
because they realize they give an option for, I don't know, I think 2-3 years, and they see the adoption is very, very low.
Yeah.
And one day they said, okay, I'll stop this. I'll make it mandatory.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do it, it's not just their data is being hacked. My server also.
Some websites even, I feel like there are some websites that also force you to, mau nggak mau, you gotta change your password.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that's also something that should, I think the mandatory enforcement of two-factor authentication, like that's already starting to become a lot more widespread. Like that's udah menjadi lebih lazim. But I feel like the password resetting is also really, really important.
So at the end of the day, the whole discussion is always what makes education difficult,
Right.
and not just in Indonesia.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's because we always try to rely on people. Proactively do something that we tell them.
That just never happens. Humans are
Yeah.
lazy.
To enforce it one way or another. And that's the only way you start. That's the only way you can change things. And I always say that in today's digital world, what if my data is hacked? Or what if my data is breached? No. If your data is stolen, can you still move on with your life or not? For example, like almost every day, I always receive this notification from a system that crawl, hey, someone breached system A, and then we see your personal email address listed there. Okay, I'm not panic. Why? Because I know my MFA is on. So I just get again to the system. I change my password. Life moves on. What makes things horrible, or at least sounds horrible, is, oh, this website got hacked, that website got hacked, or this government agency that got hacked, and then all becomes in the news. Always remember, those that goes to the news is always less than 5%. Let me give you an example, very Indonesian. By definition, it's already leaking the data. But people don't see it as leaking the data. Have you ever received a message from someone, Miss Indah, we need to complete this form and we need a copy of your KTP. Please send a photo through WhatsApp.
Who is sending the message?
No, whoever.
Some random ass person that I don't even know?
No, I mean, like, for example, I don't know, if you want to apply for something, sure, or insurance, or just you know.
But it's somebody that I've had prior.
Yes.
Correct.
Whoever, whether it's someone that you know or someone that you don't know, but then you need to apply for something, and then you need to send this person a copy of your KTP, and the way they ask to do it is by taking a picture of your KTP and then send it with WhatsApp.
Yep, that's happened.
By definition, that's already leaking the data. Why? Because can you guarantee that the other person, after reading the document, will remove that KTP from his or her phone?
Yeah. Like, what's the guarantee that you're going to delete my information off of your device? And then your device, like, you get pickpocketed, your device gets stolen, and then, yep. I want to say something really quickly on this note, because, I am an influencer.
Okay.
And I'm sure lots of other influencers are watching this as well. And when we do brand deals, endorsements, sponsorships, perhaps this might be contingent upon the rate, because if they're paying you a lot of money, then maybe that would make more sense as to why you need my KTP. But if you're, back then I was just still starting out, my rate was perhaps like 1 juta, 2 juta, well, 1 million, 2 million. Why do you need my KTP? Why do you need my NPWP? I started asking around. It's like, hey, should I be sending them my KTP, NPWP? And because it'll be really inconsistent. Some brands, some companies would ask for my KTP, kayak they would say, enggak, tapi kita butuh KTP-nya, kita butuh NPWP-nya cuma buat data aja atau apa kayak gitu.
No, sorry, I might stop you there.
For the data.
Cuman butuh
data.
Buat datanya saja.
Yeah. But some companies, they don't do that. I actually, one time, one brand that I worked with, I volunteered my KTP and my NPWP because for me that was like, okay, I was under the impression that this is what I have to do. They told me, they were like, no, we don't need that. Girl, we don't need that information. And actually, no, don't be giving this out to just any random brand. Like, we don't need it.
either that or the process inside of the company,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Sometimes there's a big brand where the finance department and the legal, in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
case, say that, okay, to do a due diligence on our influencers, we need to collect A, B, C, D, E. But then it means that if they are doing that,
Yeah.
if they enforce
Right.
influencer to do that,
Right.
they have to make sure
Right.
that they secure it because they start collecting sensitive information.
But there's no guarantee that they're doing that.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then if something happened, we can always sue back.
Well,
That's where the regulations comes in.
Yeah. And also the one thing that I know has happened to me because I have taken brand deals and sponsorships from companies in the past, companies that do not at all protect my private information, because how the hell I get WhatsApps from this agency or that agency, so they're reaching out for, there's a process. If you want to reach out to me, Indah, and you want me to endorse your company, endorse your product, you want to be a sponsor of the show, there's a process. You know how you do that? You can go to my profile on Instagram, on TikTok. There's a link in bio. You click on that link in bio. It directs you to a website. It's my little landing page. You click on which one you want. You want a sponsorship Indah show, or you want it's Indah endorsement, right? You click on that. It directs you to not my personal phone number. It directs you to either my personal assistant or my manager, right? So how the hell some of these agencies, they got my personal phone number, like they're like, hey, we're representing this brand, we want you to endorse this, like blah blah blah. And then I'm like, okay, but hold on a second, how'd you get my phone number? And then they've admitted they get it from this other agency, that company. Oh, we're partnered with this company, and that company I've worked with before.
Correct.
So they're trading information with one another that
Correct.
I didn't consent to.
Correct. So that's the reason why I'm really, really looking forward how Indonesian government will enforce this new law. Again, I'm not all the expert, but I'm just waiting how this will be enforced, because making a regulations, making it public, writing it down, announcing it to the public is one thing, but if you don't enforce it,
Yeah. How is this? The Netherlands is obviously a country that enforces very strict privacy laws.
yes.
How is it enforced in the Netherlands?
Give me an example. Like for what process?
I don't know if like the same shit that happened to me, where one agency got my personal phone number because they got my information off of like
Okay.
other companies. I find out about it. Like, what would happen if this happened in the Netherlands?
Oh, you can report that to a central database where you mention what's the case, and then there will be a group of a team that will investigate. They will talk to the organization who do that,
Right.
and if they are proven to be guilty or charged, then they will get penalized according to the law.
Is it a fee? Do you go to prison, or it just depends on like how severe
Normally, it's
Fee?
the fee, but if you are severely against the law, then the penalty is 4% of your total global revenue.
the case? Right. See, the first thing you said was there's a database that in the Netherlands. If this happened to me in the Netherlands, there's a database I can report to.
Yes.
Where do I report to here?
And that's the reason why I said I'm looking forward. How is it going to enforce? So if any of Indah show viewers know where I can find it, please let me know.
Yeah, you let me know.
You let her know. Then we can go there together. And again, if there's something that I can help with, I'm happy
Right.
to help as well.
I'm at the point where I'm realizing in preparation for this episode, I'm like, so much of my data is out there. My phone number is everywhere. Everybody and I've had this phone number for years.
Okay.
Actually, is it this is one question that I wanted to ask. As part of digital and cybersecurity, should we be changing phone numbers after a given period of time, or is that unnecessary?
No, I mean, in
Okay.
Netherlands, I keep my phone numbers for 16 years now.
Okay, yeah, 'cause my mom's had the same phone number for as long as I've been alive, 27 years.
Because, again,
Yeah.
if something happened, I can always report to the database. Right?
Yeah, cause you're Dutch now.
No, but I'm used to being Indonesian, yes? But,
Yeah,
but
but where do you report it? If that happened to you here?
True. But then even back then, when I was still holding Indonesian passport,
Yeah, and
because
living here.
because I'm a resident in the Netherlands, I still can use that database. Basically the law covers resident and citizen.
Oh yeah. Well, but where does that leave me? I'm not a resident in the Netherlands.
Yeah, but then my point is, if we do it right,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a question, shall I change my phone number every so often?
Right. Right.
Right? It's more about, this is my number. If I want to keep it forever,
Yeah.
let's say,
Yeah.
how can me, the phone company, that company, that company can help me to make sure that I can keep this forever? Again, I do not believe, and I wouldn't recommend anyone, not just government, everybody, including organization, if you are building a digital system, never think that your user will use your system
Willingly.
correct way. There's always something wrong with how your user using your system. That's it. Because okay, people like me can be careful, but people like my parents,
Oh yeah. No.
oh mom, there's this new
Oh
app.
my god.
Okay, I'll just.
Oh my god.
Well, I'll just test this. I'll just test it. Oh, sorry, it's wrong. My data. Oh, where's my data?
Oh my god, no, you brought up parents, and it's always, I mean, and I guess this is obvious, like, I mean, the easiest targets for, like, cyber crimes is always our elders. Yeah, no, because my mom's been scammed a few times buying shit off of Shopee and Tokopedia.
Yeah, but by the way, back to your mom
Yeah?
being paranoid.
Uh-huh.
But remember, the general population, especially we as Indonesian,
Yeah?
we are tend to see the positive things of many things, right? We always try to help people. It's a good thing, but always remember there's always a way that people abuse it.
Yeah. There's always going to be some horrible people out there. They're going to take advantage of you. They don't care what happens to you. And that's like the thing my mom always drills into me. That's why I've exercised a healthy level of skepticism. My mom is just fully skeptic all the time. Like, she just doesn't trust anybody.
Okay, don't push it.
Yeah,
too far.
don't be
push
like
it.
my mom. I think be more like the middle of the average everyday
Yeah.
Indonesian. And then there's my mother on the very far end of the spectrum. You try to be in the middle. And my mom even, I mean, it took a while too. Like, let's talk about social media, because that's part of also digital literacy, and that's something that definitely a lot of, like, and most of my audience are Gen Zs and millennials. Like, that's something that we can relate to.
Okay, I'm not in that generation anymore.
You're not. But that's fine, because like we're not. When it comes to social media, what I was trying to say is, it took even a while because my mother is very paranoid.
Okay.
I am a social media personality. I post everything and anything on social media, and it took a while for my mom to kind of like calm down about that whole thing, because my mom is like, but you're putting so much information out there. What are they gonna do with all this information? What are they can save your photos. My mom was even like the whole people can download your videos. Why would they do that? You know, and stuff like that. And then you find out that you can. That's actually a very valid concern now in the age of AI and like what's the other one? Deepfake. As time goes forward and technology becomes more advanced, I keep coming back to the realization of, holy shit, my mom was kind of right. But with social media, and I remember the first time I was in middle school and I started posting on Facebook, and my mother had a whole bunch of issues with that. And she was always that one parent. She's that one parent. She's like, everything you post on social media is going to be there forever.
True.
But my question for the longest time, and genuinely even until now, I don't see why I should care.
That's also true.
Okay.
So, and that's the reason why people kind of hate me in a way in my profession.
Because you're very
Why you are always different, Ferry? Because I also still want to enjoy life. I want to use social media. I want to understand how things work in the world. Yes, maybe I don't use Instagram, for example, as much as others, but I still want to use it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then the question is, do I want to live in a cave? Or I want to enjoy life here? But then how can I make it a balance that I don't go overboard? So the only thing I said, and I always tell me, okay, let's say, oh, by the way, I just start using Instagram ever since I know him. That's it. So less than a year.
When? Less than a year? Few months ago?
So if you ask me how to edit things in Instagram.
Damn. What? Why? why are you on Instagram? I feel like,
Because that's the thing. I always believe I don't need it.
and
And
then
then now, because I'm an owner of a business, it's like, okay, you have to have it. Okay, fine.
for what?
I'm just like, personality kind of things. But in the past, I don't believe I need it.
Yeah.
So now when I need it, I will use it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I will have a guardrail around it.
Right. What are your guardrails? Because obviously, like, you and I are completely different. I'm a social media personality.
Mm.
I have to be like, I gotta be on social media,
Yeah.
and like part of my, this is debatable, but part of my job is I do gotta put out a lot of
Sure.
information about myself on social media.
I understand.
You're just a regular private citizen on social
Yep.
media. What are the guardrails that you put?
No, for me, it's more about like, I know it's cliche, but am I comfortable for this information to go out?
To be to share.
Because I know it will come back to me.
Mm,
And the only thing that I always make sure, again, my account is as secure as I can be,
mm,
right? But when it comes to information is, do I want this to be a consumption of others? If I have to, like in this case, you as a public figure,
mm-hmm.
then the question is always just focus on securing your account.
Mm-hmm.
And is this affecting your personal life?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you do have a, let's say, public personality,
Yeah.
public profile,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you also have a private
Personal life.
profile, right?
Yeah.
So as long as you see the difference between it and then you keep it different, then it's fine.
The one thing that I gotta be careful of, especially because I'm in politics, and I've gotten a lot of death threats and rape threats, and I've had people that try to stalk me. I think there was one user that actually, like, he DM'd me, and he did get a bunch of like very accurate information of like, I see you like playing around like this area, like, so he cited like the malls that I frequent at, and like what time, and like the gym that I go to, because I put a lot of that out on the internet. And so the little things that I do now to protect myself, so let's say like if I'm in a certain location, people can know that I go to this location, they just can't know when I'm there.
Correct.
So I post maybe like hours later after I've left, or I
Correct.
post the next day.
Correct.
So I modify the time. Whereas like and a lot of people on social media actually they do this. It's like you're at a, unless it's like, for example, like if it's a wedding, like, okay, yeah, fine, I'll post it like on the spot. Like, not everybody can just come into a wedding. I mean, God forbid, nobody's that crazy, right? But it's like in general,
Yeah.
in general. But in general, a lot of people that are on social media that perhaps are not public figures, but even like public figures and influencers, to be honest, like they're live updating every single second on especially the Instagram story. And that's very easy. Like if anybody out there is nekat enough, like they're crazy enough to, want to stalk you, that very much can happen. And so that's just, I don't know, I'm just throwing this in there for all the people that are listening. Like if you have a habit of live updating your location on Instagram, I feel like in this day and age, it's a little bit of a misconception to think that, well, I'm not a public figure. Nobody's going to stalk me. Nobody's going to do anything with that information.
You bring a very good point. Because most individuals, most organizations that I talk to, especially a small one, I don't have anything to hide.
Why is that wrong?
Because I may not target you, but I may target your boss. Or let's say I'm not targeting your personal assistant, I'm targeting Indah. So if I get to your personal assistant, I can target Indah. So you might think you are nobody, you don't have anything to hide, but with your phone, you're a database of someone else. How many contacts your PA have while helping you doing your business? It has, I don't know, CEO from company A, company B, company C. I'm not targeting your PA. I'm just targeting whoever in her phone.
That's actually funny enough. This somewhat ties. If I'm gonna put on my sociology hat on, somehow you can even relate this to the discussion of individualism versus collectivism, and how even collectivism can seep into like digital landscapes and like the way that we navigate our digital and online identities, in the sense that what you were saying just now is that you can get to me via my personal assistant.
Yep.
You can get to me, you can target me by first going through Tito.
Correct. Because he
Yes.
has your phone
Connection
number.
to me. So in a sense, what I'm trying to say here is that there's a degree to which keeping yourself safe is also, you're protecting yourself, but you're also protecting everybody else around you. Whereas I think we tend to think of digital,
It's only me.
yeah, it's only me, like digital security, cybersecurity, like it's just me protecting me, but actually like you don't realize how you're also, by protecting yourself, you are protecting other people. Oh, that's interesting. I have another question about when it comes to social media, and obviously I put out so much of my information on social media. These social media algorithms, like they're listening. They know what I like. They know what I want. They know my shopping habits. So I get very like hyper specific targeted ads.
Yeah.
One time, actually, this is a true story. One time, me and my girlfriends, we were talking about donating our eggs.
Okay.
I just, as we were exploring the idea, what if we just
An option.
What if
Just
we
an
just sold our eggs for money? Just like have a bunch of our,
Okay.
out of our babies, and then I got an ad for egg donation,
Yep.
like immediately right after.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get one right now because I'm talking about it. My phone's right here. It's listening to me. And a lot of people, I don't know if this falls within like what we're talking about, but it does fall into like, data and privacy and all of that. And a lot of people seem to have contentions with it, of like, we're giving Meta and all of these other companies so much information about us, and like because with that information they can target ads. That's the way they make money off of you, right?
Yes.
Is that bad? Like, is that something that we should be concerned about? Because I know this is gonna sound, I don't know, like maybe weird or just maybe like careless and stupid of me, but sometimes I get ads that like, oh no, I wanted this. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But that's my point. If you are okay with that,
That's then okay with. Okay.
you live with that life choice, so to say. If you're not okay with that, then you do you.
What's the reason people are not okay with it?
Because they believe it's too invasive. But the problem is, they are there because you also share a lot of things. So people want to share a lot of things, but they don't want to be tracked. That's not how the world works.
Okay.
If you don't want to be tracked, you have
Right.
to do something. And that's the problem where
Right.
if you don't want Meta to follow you, have you configured your phone correctly or not?
What does configuring your phone correctly
So it
mean?
means that in your phone, there's always an options whether you can be tracked or not, whether your Siri always listen to you, and so on and so forth. Have you turned it off?
That's a very good question. I don't know how to even check that.
But that's exactly my point. So you create, or let's say in this case Apple, I create a product. I provide options. You can turn it on, you can turn it off, with expectations that your user knows. Not just knows how to use it, even knows where to find it.
Okay.
That's the first place.
Okay.
That's why there's always a tutorial somewhere
Okay.
on YouTube or on blog posts how to turn off microphone tracking on Apple. But then how many people
Actually.
go to the internet to search for the information?
Well, how many people even think of it in the first place, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So then, if you are okay with it, or if you don't want to do anything about it, then live with whatever the consequences.
I have a question about Meta and all of these other companies. So obviously, like, we know that they are selling our data, right? But who are they selling it to? So is it like,
Advertiser.
yeah? So Meta gets all this information about me. So there's this girl named Indah. She likes cute animals and Hello Kitty and Sanrio, and if you just throw her cute stuff, she'll buy it.
Yeah.
So they got that information about me. They sell it to all these other companies
Yeah.
that want to
Target people
target,
like
me.
Yeah.
To sell me things.
Yes.
Is that all they do? Or are they selling it for other, like, more nefarious? Because that's not nefarious. Like, that, if anything, that's doing me a favor. Because, I mean, yeah, I like what I like. And if it's of benefit to me and, like, it's something that I either want or need, like, I mean, I'll buy it, you know?
Yeah, I mean the most famous example is always about the Cambridge Analytica, where the data from Meta is actually used to drive political
I see.
form, right? But again, we never know what they sell, to whom they sell. But basically, again, once you are up there, this is the pros, this is the cons. Can you live with it or not?
I guess if you want to have that conversation about Cambridge Analytica and the way that social media interferes with the democratic process. Oh, but I don't know where you stand on this one.
What, X
What?
and
Huh?
Elon Musk?
No.
No?
I don't know where you stand on. So a lot of people make the argument that these social media companies. So for example, I'm on social media. Part of what's Meta, TikTok, part of what they know about me is not just the things that I like Sanrio and penguins and raccoons and bears. They know my political, my not affiliation. Sorry, they know where I politically align. They know I lean more left. They know that I adhere to certain liberal values. They know that I am a proponent of feminism and the LGBTQ movement and all that type of stuff, right? And then part of these companies selling my data is that, okay, we got this information, like this is like politically, this is how Indonesian is. They sell it to, I don't know, maybe whoever, like political party or whatever, or politicians, big scary dark companies, and then they use that to target specific ads or specific, maybe perhaps even posts, or maybe I see. I don't know how it works. I think part of how it works is also the algorithm, because it's like, okay, well, you lean left. Let's just keep sending you more leftist content, and that way it kind of keeps you into this echo chamber, and then political polarization happens through there, right? And then a lot of people, they make the argument that when you do that, when companies are allowed to do that, it interferes with the democratic process. But I disagree, because part of the democratic process is, how should I say this? I'm very libertarian, so there's a lot of emphasis on like personal responsibility, right? And it's like part of your responsibility of somebody that has access to something as powerful as social media and the internet is, also the realization that with this great power comes great responsibility. Your responsibility also, keyword here, I guess, should also include you being cognizant of the fact that everything that you see on social media should not be just taken at face value, and that you shouldn't, as in, di social media juga harus pakai otak lah, kayak gitu. Like, think for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's what democracy is contingent on. And I guess that's my devil's advocate for.
Okay.
For
then for this
that.
one, then I call out what Panji always said. The only demographic who can think like that is just less than 10%.
It's only people like you and me that have had the privilege of, and I use the word privilege. I'm very adamant about using the word privilege, because it is a privilege to be so educated,
to have opportunity to enjoy, let's say, higher educations. Yes, it's a privilege. Whether you got it by your parents' scholarship or your real scholarship, it is a privilege.
Yeah, see, this is where my privilege is showing, because I do sometimes. I think I tend to forget that. Well, because I guess the issue is not more so that, well, I mean, I think in my own little privileged bubble, but also the issue is that democracy is contingent upon everybody receiving equal opportunity and equal access and quality of education, and in reality, that's not what it is.
So basically, it's just a snowball effect, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why a lot of experts also say that social media is actually worse than drugs, because the whole algorithm thing is all about attention grabbing or addiction. Because at the end of the day, the whole business model is the longer you are engaged in that platform, the more ads means more money for the company. So then, if you like cats, I'll give you cats.
I mean, I'm happy with that. Give me cats.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's literally because that is their business model. Their business model is not about how should I use my platform to educate people. My platform is there to make me money. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Sure, but unfortunately, my responsibility is also to my shareholder.
Yeah.
Like every year they ask, okay, what's your growth this year? We need a better stock price. That's also my responsibility. So balancing that it's kind of difficult. That's the reason why, as long as we are living in a digital world, this discussion will never end. This is exactly the same discussion I have 5 years, 10 years ago, and this is also the same discussion I will have the next 5-10 years from now. Then the only question is always, as individual, like you and like me, which one we're comfortable with. Because again, what I don't want to be is as a security privacy expert who say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. Means that don't enjoy your life, your life, don't enjoy your life. No, enjoy your life to the extent that you are okay with it. If you are not okay with A, then do something about it. If you
Know
are
the
not-
consequences.
Know the consequences.
I'm a more nonchalant personality. And so, for example, if you're going to talk about raunchy photos that I've posted online, I let it sit there. That's fine. That way, that's there. It is what it is. So I guess it's the extent to which you care. And I guess like one takeaway that I'm extrapolating from this is the value of like whatever information you put out on the internet is also like it's dependent on you. How much do you value it that somebody else can that can use that to take advantage of you, right?
Correct.
Because if somebody tries to blackmail me with like, I'm gonna send this photo of you lying down in lingerie to your mom, my mom already saw it. She doesn't care. What do you want? What are you gonna do?
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? So you know your worth. You are the asset now.
Yeah.
And if there is something bad happen to you, whether it's blackmailing or your password is breached, whatever, the question is always, can you move on or not?
Yeah.
Right? If that issue is small enough, then you move on.
Yeah.
And that's what we call digital resiliency. So I never, or I hardly talk about security anymore these days, because I just want to make sure that people are resilient. Resilient means whatever hit you, it will hit you.
But can you take it?
Can you take it? So if you think about, oh, I don't want to get hacked, you will get hacked. It's just either today or tomorrow, next week or next year.
But can you move on? Can you live with it?
But can you move on? Can you live with it? That's it. So it's all about resiliency.
Well, and part of that resiliency, like it's a collective effort. So it's like, yes, you individually have to be resilient, but collectively as a society, we need to grant people grace and compassion and empathy in order for them to be resilient. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a little bit off topic, to be honest, but I wonder this. So you know how South Koreans, like there's now this movement in South Korea, and I think like even China, where they cover their cameras?
On the phone or on the...
Yeah, they put like tape or paper, like they cover the cameras, the front.
Even on your phone?
Even on your phone, so like they cover this.
There's a common thing.
Should we be doing that?
Again, if you always use your device with a good habit, the chance of something malicious come to your device is small. But if you always have, or if you always do something that always invites something malicious to come in, then you start with that.
What would be an example?
Sorry?
What would be an example? So you said, as it depends on your digital habits. So what are those digital habits?
Do you use pirated software?
Pirated software. Oh, see, a lot of Indonesians immediately like, I'm calling y'all out because Indonesians pirate everything. That's not a secret, right? Why are you laughing? That's not a secret. That's not a secret. Your brother uses a pirated version of Adobe Premiere Pro to edit my videos. Come on. Because, I mean, no, because call it like it is. Like, most of us are broke. Like, pirate is just so much cheaper.
I know.
Yeah, but at a greater cost that people don't even realize.
The whole discussion is always amazed me. Like, how much is Adobe Premiere Pro cost you?
Oh, I can't answer that. I
Do you know?
pay... No, I can't answer that. So for Adobe Premiere Pro, monthly or yearly? So I pay...
Just yearly.
Oh, fuck, I forgot the yearly rate. I think it's like around $20 something per month.
Okay, then let's say $200. Yeah?
Sure, yeah.
Let's say pay 10 months for the whole year for $200.
Yeah.
When you go out for dinner,
Mm-hmm.
how much do you spend?
Yeah, I mean...
But then,
Yeah.
when you pay your Adobe Premiere Pro for $200 a year, you can actually make a very good video with high quality and you are secure, that gives you a revenue of, I don't know, $3,000, $5,000 a year. then don't you think that $200 investment worth?
The devil's advocate to that would be that a lot of people, especially in countries like Indonesia, most people, back again to our initial discussion, are so poor and just so tight on cash that
No.
thinking long term is.
No, you are
They-
not poor. How many people say that they are poor, but every day before going to their work, they always go to that cafe for a cup of coffee?
Or how many people, on
Or
the internet, cry about being. I'm not gonna use the word poor. That's a little bit more sensitive. How many people on the internet complain about being broke? Well, posting that on X on an iPhone. I was saying, and they tell me I don't afford to eat healthy, and yet, number one, you got an iPhone. Number two, I see you every day going to cafes, buying coffee drinks, like
Yep.
sweetened coffee drinks.
Yeah, and that's the
So-
reason why every time I come here to Indonesia, and when they know that I run my own company, I always amazed when people amazed that I took just a normal Bluebird taxi.
Yeah.
I said like, then why do I need to take the luxurious taxi? I just need to from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Yes, I can afford that, but do I need to do that? Coffee. I like. Can I say it? The brand.
Go ahead.
Kopi Kapal Api Saset.
What's the one from Indomaret? Everybody keeps telling me that.
Oh, that one.
Iya bukan sih? Ya point yang dari Indomaret.
Oh, point coffee.
Point Coffee ya.
I haven't heard about
Yeah,
it.
no, everybody's been. Yeah, we should try that.
Okay.
Everybody's been raving to me about Point Coffee, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
Fucking Indomaret coffee.
It is pretty good.
And yeah, and I believe it. People tell me it's good. I believe y'all. It's
Yeah.
good.
So even in Europe, for example, I literally buy like a bottle of Nescafe, and then I just make it every day.
Right.
Can I afford to go to Starbucks every day? I'm not just trying to. I can.
Yeah, for
But
sure. You
do
can.
I need to? And that always comes back to that digital thing. Like everybody always believe, I just use this software because it's so expensive, so I just take it a crack. Yeah, but I just saw you buy exactly the same amount out there.
But I think the devil's advocate would be. I can imagine this would be the devil's advocate. So Adobe Premiere Pro. What was the price just now? So 200. Like let's say
Yeah, let's
200.
say-
Let's say $200.
Yeah.
1,500,000 1 year.
Okay, that makes more sense.
That actually is only $100.
A month.
No, a year.
Oh, a year.
Yeah.
1.5 million rupiahs a year
So
for
$100.
Adobe Premiere Pro instead of going for the pirated one. I guess the devil's advocate to that would be how many Indonesians have immediate access to 1.5 million.
That's the reason why there's a monthly subscription.
So how much would it be monthly? That's like
Less than 150K.
less than 150K.
Okay, can you not go for dinner for that restaurant for just one day?
Do you have 150K on you right now? You?
Yeah.
Cause you're the brokest man I know. I'm kidding. You got 150K on you right now.
And he can use it for the whole month.
And you can use it for a whole month. And if you spent 150, huh?
Even my lunch, my own lunch cost 1,100.
How much does your food? How much does lunch cost you today, Tito?
For one day or just once?
Gak lunchnya doang. Tadi berapa?
15,000?
Nanti makan malam? Kira-kira segitu juga.
Yeah, maybe around 15 to 20.
And you still got 150K to get. Yeah, okay.
So at the end of the day, it's all about priority.
Priority and management.
Correct. And then at the end of the day, as a content creator or whoever have business, and then especially this, I'm sorry to say, sometimes business owner try to go as cheap as possible.
And it costs them more in the long run.
It will cost you a lot more in the long run.
This is such a great conversation.
Thank you for
I
having
didn't
me.
think a conversation about cybersecurity could be very relatable and also very fun, but here I am proving myself wrong yet again. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And that is it, you guys. Be sure to like, comment, fucking subscribe. Assholes watch my videos without subscribing. That's such a bitch ass move. This is Ferry. All his information is down below. And that's it. Change your password. Random password generator. Hello. What is it called? Hello.
Halo again.
Hello again. Use that. All right. Bye.